All right, so this is the lighting studio. I mean, it's hard to miss. You come in through the door and it's right in front of you. Once you're in here, it may look different than it does now. It's pretty clean right now. There should be more lights in here. We have a couple lights that are checked out by students, but I'm gonna walk you through the basic process. So I'm gonna close this door. It has a lock down here. And basically, this kind of pile, which again, this stuff may be moved around by other students. These are all things that attach onto lights. These are different colored gels. So we have a yellow one right here. There's a blue one actually on the light, and they simply clip on. I'm totally fine with you experimenting, trying out different things. You can go buy some different colored gels if you like, or if you have some maybe for some other project, you can use those. There's other things in here that will add different effects to the lights if you attach them. Just try playing with it and see what happens. So these two are both flashlights and continuous lights. They have two different modes, which means they can flash like as if you were in a portrait studio, but they can also just stay on. I'm gonna show you just the staying on mode. The flash is a little more complex, and we're gonna get into that in a future project. For now, I just want you to focus on playing with light and experimenting with it. So first things first, safety, okay? These two tripods, can hold the weight of these these lights, but as the lights become more tilted, so for example, if I take this and I move this over here, you can see there's this clamp. If I loosen the clamp, I can rotate this or extend it. Let me just loosen that real quick. I'm trying to do this with like one hand. It's a little bit complicated. So I've loosened it and it can now move, and I can extend this. Let me loosen a little more. There we go. So you can see I can move this light around, but of course, if I just have it like straight out like this and I lock it, it's gonna fall. So these blue bags are sandbags, and you place those over different legs to stabilize your tripod, okay? Just be careful with it and make sure it doesn't fall. All right, I'm gonna lock this up, so I'm gonna stop the video. Tripods, although they seem simple, can actually be really tricky. I have a bunch of tripods over here and a tripod behind the door over here. So tripods have different purposes. This is like your standard gun tripod, which is a little bit easy to use. There's also, we have some heavy duty tripods, but all tripods work in the same basic way. They have a plate or a shoe that fits onto the camera. So here's one, here's a shoe. It's a really old tripod, but I'm gonna pull it out and use it. And just rearrange this stuff. This is like a live stream that you're watching kind of fall apart. So, okay, we've got our tripod. I'm going to never force the tripod. So if it's not moving, I'm not gonna force it. Just check these little locks. So there's a lock right here. There's a lock on the front. There's this little side handle. We'll get into that in a second. And there's locks on the legs. So play with those locks and see, okay, so why isn't this tilting? So if I move this, let me just do this because it takes two hands. Once it's unlocked, I should be able to move it just fine without issue. Sometimes locks are also in the handle. So for example, the tilt lock, so I just released the pan lock, the tilt lock is in the handle. So if I screw the handle this way, I can tilt it. If I tighten it, it's on again. Whenever we're on set, we never want to lock the pan lock, okay, which is this. So this is panning, moving left to right. The reason for that is if someone bumps in the camera, it's pretty harmless because it just basically moves it, right? You see that, like, oh, I knocked into it, it just moves the handle. Whereas if this was locked, if I bump into it, the whole thing's gonna fall over and the camera's gonna fall off. So this is the tripod head, legs. Again, legs can extend out, you know, everyone kind of figures this out. And then we have the actual shoe right here, which just pops off. And all shoes are a little bit different, but they usually have two little mounting holes that screw into the bottom of your camera. Now this is a super old shoe that's sort of falling apart, but you screw it into the, here's a new shoe that looks much better. You screw it into the bottom of your camera and you're good to go. I'm gonna see which one this fits and use this one. So here's my camera, has a universal mount on the bottom. Pretty much every camera in the world has this, including old still cameras. And you simply pop up this little peg. We have this guy, and we screw him on there. Once it's screwed on, you're good to go, and you can mount it on your tripod. Now, a lot of tripods, in fact, the ones I checked out to you, have these little bubbles. So you know the tripod is level if that bubble is in the circle in the middle. The best way with these kinds of tripods is they might have a head adjustment, they might have other adjustments that you can make, or you may have to rearrange the legs. So on cheaper tripods, you may have to get down here, unlock a leg, adjust it a little bit, lock it again, and check that bubble and make sure that it's locked, or make sure that it's centered. So again, if you see the bubble, use that. So that pretty much covers tripods. You're gonna be using them a ton. Once you use a tripod, you're able to start shooting on slower frame rates, or not frame rates, shutter speeds. So you can start shooting, you know, 1 second shutters. You can do astrophotography, night photography, all kinds of things. So there's lots to experiment with there. Yeah, so let me know if you need to check out a tripod. We have a ton of them in the closet that I can check out to you, and you can experiment with it.